Hey, hi, hello, welcome back to my channel. I'm Jesse, and today I'm reading books with weird book titles. I wish I had a better explanation or better intentions for this video, but have you ever just seen a book with a weird book title and wanted to read it solely based off the weird book title? That's the path that led me here, and now I've picked up books with weird book titles, and I'm going to be reading them and seeing why I think they were titled that way. Because why would I read books that are already on my TBR? Who does that? Not me. Instead, I'm going to avoid the TBR and read these random books that have weird book titles, because that makes so much sense. I'm losing it! I'm absolutely losing it! I did a video recently where I read books that felt like they had titles that felt very clickbaity, and this video is like the sibling to that video. So this is me introducing you to its little brother. I got knocked up and gave birth not too soon after that video. Miracles happen once in a while if you believe. But when I was looking for books that had those kind of clickbait titles, I stumbled across a bunch of books that had weird book titles, and it just got me intrigued, and that's pretty much how I ended up here today. I'm going into this video with two questions. The first one is, do I feel like these titles suit the story, or is it just one of those sort of situations where they title the book in a weird way in order to get people to pick it up? The second question is, if I were to give the books a normalized title, what title would I give these books? I picked out 3 books to read for this video, and the first one that I'm going to be reading is the one that I think has the weirdest title. That book is Milk, Turkey, and Neurosis, or How Mother Almost Ruined My Life. That is such a long title, I could not think of it off the top of my head. I had to literally sit here and read the title. Does that title not just like catch you off guard? Like, hello? But also, why? What? What's going on here? I'm confused. I need the tea. I'll take some creamer and some sugar too. This book follows Gracie, whose mother has invited her to Thanksgiving dinner, and she wants to stop her mom from asking about if she has a boyfriend or not. So she gets her mom on the phone and she's like, "Mom, I've got a boyfriend. Stop nagging me about it." And her mom's like, "Great, you can bring him to Thanksgiving dinner." And Gracie's like, "Oh shoot, why'd I lie? How am I gonna get out of this one?" So now we've got the sticky situation where she's got to find herself a boyfriend. We follow her as she goes on a series of blind dates to find a boyfriend and bring him with her to Thanksgiving dinner. I'm really hoping that this is just like a very fun read through and through. I read some reviews and people were saying that it's very humorous and comedic. There weren't too many reviews though, so we'll see if those are true. But I'm in the mood for something that's just like really fun and lighthearted, and I feel like this could be that book. So we'll see. I will let you guys know for sure. It's time for reading. Milk, Turkey, and Neurosis, or How Mother Almost Ruined My Life. Let's talk about it. I finished it. I have thoughts. This book was fascinating, both in a good and bad way. Mostly bad, though. It's essentially a story about all these absurd things that happen to our main character. It almost reads like a memoir, and I feel like a majority of it must be rooted in real events that happened to our author. Maybe it's based off the author's real relationship with her mother. Can't say that's 100%, that's just me alleging. Allegedly, there were so many times where I was like, wow, this has the potential to be amazing, fantastic, super funny, but I think where this book kind of lost its potential is that it's not necessarily like building up to this like big ending, this like big grand finale. Instead, it's explosion here, explosion there, drama, 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 coming from the mama. It starts out really funny, but then just the more that you read it, the more you realize that it's just like all these like really absurd things that would never ever happen to somebody. Ever, ever, ever. I mean, ever. A few of them are realistic, but then you get to a point where you're just like, girl, please. In some cases, it works out because our main character is just like a very gullible character. Like, she will pretty much believe anything that anybody tells her. Specifically, anything her mom tells her. She's like, okay, must be real. Must actually be a thing. If mama says it, it's real. And you think that she would learn her lesson, but time and time again, her mother fails her. We kick it off with a list of things that her mother has told her that she believes. Things like, when you can't brush your teeth, chew on grass. If you run out of gas, get a man to pee in your tank. Get a cat. Get several cats. They are smarter than you, and if you want to get smart, you need to start spending time with others who are smarter than you. That one might not be too far off, honestly. When you dance, always keep one hand on your waist. It keeps you looking feminine. And number 5, when you go to the beach, wear knee-high boots. It keeps the sharks from recognizing that you're alive. Each one of these points has a story to go along with it. So yes, our main character did in fact have a man pee in her gas tank when she ran out of gas. Like, girl, please, be so for real right now. The writing style was really fun and bubbly and personal, but I got to a point with this book where I just felt like there was no reasoning for the madness. Like, we never got full circle moments or even like life lessons learned. It was just madness. Madness including our main character putting hemorrhoid cream all over her face to help her acne, which apparently, after Googling it, is a thing that you can do. But like, don't take that as me telling you to put hemorrhoid cream all over your pimples. Our main character goes on a date with a guy that has a mustache, and she like hyper fixates on the fact that he has a mustache, and at the end of the date, he goes to kiss her and she licks the stash. I repeat, Repeat, she licks the stash. Also, the amount of problematic things that pop up in this book. Not to be all woke, but woke I am and woke I will be. It's fatphobic at times. He was so fat that half of him was already out of the picture, so I just cropped the rest of him out. Yikes. And that is only a hint of the fat phobia. It stereotypes at times. I don't like to judge people by where they live. God knows I've lived in pretty crappy places before, but this place looked like the friggin' projects. Yikes. And it was also racist at times. Well, there was only like one that I actually marked down and remembered. You make sure to tell them that you are smart and dedicated and a good Jewish girl. Unless they're Muslims, then you just want to talk about how patient and submissive you are. Yikes! I would give this book a 2 out of 5 stars. I would give it a 1 out of 5 stars, but I've never given a book a 1 out of 5 stars. But if I were to give books that star rating, that's what I would probably give this book. I feel like this book simply could have benefited from some editing. That's all I'm saying. Now, does the title fit the book? Yes, I guess. Like, the main event isn't even really like her getting a boyfriend and going to Thanksgiving, but it's mostly about her and all these crazy situations that she finds herself in, and her taking all of her mom's bad advice. If I were to give it an alternate title, part of me wants to just give it the title, I licked a stash and I liked it. I would probably actually title it like The Gullible Diaries, My Mom's Bad Advice, My Life of Taking My Mom's Bad Advice. Those are some pretty solid alternate titles. The next book that I am reading for this video, which I'm realizing that I went from like most weird title to pretty weird title to somewhat weird title. That's kind of the order I'm going with this video. The next book that I'm reading is Life as a Pirate Ship Run by a Velociraptor. This is also another book that like contains a bunch of bizarre events. Apparently this is like a memoir. We follow our author as she finds herself in all these bizarre situations. It says on the back, life is never boring when you're a human magnet for the bizarre. I'm intrigued. I hope that it's not like as explosive over and over and over again. I'm hoping this one is not similar to this one in the fact that like the situations aren't believable. It is a memoir though, so the situations are based off real events. So hopefully that's a good sign. Hopefully the stories are not over the top and unrealistic. I'm intrigued, I'm excited, time for reading. Okay, I finished Life as a Pirate Ship Run by a Velociraptor. This book was actually very similar to Milk, Turkey, and Neurosis, or How Mother Almost Ruined My Life. This title is just far too long, man. But thankfully, this book was much better than this book. It's a book filled with these bizarre and absurd things that our main character it's a memoir, so it's these wild things that are, I keep wanting to say main character. She is the main character. It is about her. It's just that she's not a fictional character. She's a real person. So it's all these bizarre, wild, interesting situations that our author has been through. Thankfully never as bizarre as things that happened in the first book, but there were definitely still some absurd things that happened in this one. I was just glad that she never asked a guy to pee in her gas tank. Thank God. Not me out here shading the first book I read for this video. These are stories that are much more rooted in reality and that I could actually see happening and occurring, which I know the first book was fiction, and it's okay for wild things to happen within fiction, but it was still just too over the top. Okay, I need to stop talking about the first book. We have moved on, Jesse. We're moving on. There were still definitely over the top situations within this book. For example, for the most part, the animal kingdom and I got along. Sure, I have been chased by an emu, been pooped on by a parakeet, and once was attacked by a surprisingly fast giant iguana, but by and large, animals and I are just peachy. Weird and over the top, but not a weird and over the top that's unrealistic. I'm somebody who thinks that they have a not so normal life and like goes through these like weird, bizarre situations, but then I read this book and I was like, oh, my life is pretty normal. This book proved that my definition of weird is pretty tame. Something that I really appreciated about this book was the writing style. It's very comedic and just filled to the brim with wit. They had these amazing setup moments and then they would just come swinging with the execution, and it hit so good every time. An X is like a zebra carcass, only interesting from a safe distance. Overall, something you want to avoid and you hope is eventually eaten by a lion. I actually really like this next part too. Now, to be fair, I have had some decent X's. We parted ways and we're totally fine, like two people bumping into each other in Canada. We just said, sorry, and moved on. Is that stereotyping Canadians? Maybe. Each story would unveil this humor situation, and then at the end of the story, they would have 2 life lessons that the author learned through this situation. And that's something, again, not to keep referencing the first book, but that's something that I wanted out of the first book. Even though it was a fiction book, I just felt like we kept having these like crazy, absurd, weird things happen. It would never like come back to something that we learned or something that we got out of the situation. Not that we needed like a life lesson every time. And it's like they would never address what that situation meant to the main character and like how they felt after it. I don't know. I need to quit harping on that first book. We're done, we're through, we're breaking up, I'm done talking about you, yet I can't keep your name out my mouth. I would say if you like Jenny Lawson's books, but you don't love when she gets kind of serious and real, and you mostly like her books for her humor and wit, this book will be perfect for you. The author finds humor in every situation, and she just doesn't take herself too seriously, which is something that I really appreciate. Like, I feel like this author and I would get along, would probably be besties. And with each story, while we are getting these like life lessons at the end of each story, it's never like consumed in seriousness. It never like fully commits to a serious path, and honestly, I was okay with that. I wanted like the silliness, I wanted the goofiness, I wanted the not so serious road to be taken. Overall, I'm giving this a 4 out of 5 stars. It was pretty solid in my opinion. Now, for the title, I feel like the title does make sense. I don't know if the title is ever like referenced in the book. I never caught on to that if it was. Was it ever referenced? Now I'm second guessing if it was ever mentioned, but I don't think it was ever mentioned. But it does sort of represent the story well because the story is filled with nonsense and this title is pretty nonsensical. If I were to pick an alternate title, I would say like, you thought your life was normal? Think again. My not so normal life. The mundane life is not for me. These are all terrible titles. Have we caught on to the fact that I'm bad at titling things? Because I'm pretty bad at titling things. Heck, the title of this video is probably bad. The final book that I would be reading for this video is actually a graphic novel, and that graphic novel is The Princess and the Grilled Cheese. This is definitely the most tame title, but out of all of the titles, I think it's my favorite, and it's the one that intrigued me the most. It also has me craving a grilled cheese. So, this book is already influencing my life. This book follows this girl whose father is very rich and he is about to pass away, and unfortunately, this is so terrible, but in this world, women are not allowed to be inherited the fortune. They have to like marry a man, and then the man can inherit the fortune, which is so terrible, I know. But our main girl is like, I don't want to marry a man. Like, that is not of interest to me. I want to be with a woman. Let me love ladies. And her dad's like, listen, I hear you, I understand that, but we have to figure out a way in order for you to get this fortune. So she ends up disguising herself as a man and inheriting her father's fortune when he passes away. And our main character ends up catching the eye of a princess. The only bad thing here is that our main character has a big secret. This is the story that I've been the most excited to read within this video. Like, the title intrigues me, and then I also love a graphic novel moment. It's been a second since I've read a graphic novel, so I'm looking forward to devouring this. Without further ado, time for reading. Trust me when I say this graphic novel is wholesome to a T. I'm surprised there's not a lot of hype surrounding this one, or at least I haven't seen the hype if there is hype. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it deserves more love, and I am here to give it love today. If you haven't read this graphic novel, you should read it. It is fantastic. Fantastic, fantastic. I'm gonna try to calm down the dramatics. That's kind of hard for me, because it's just a part of me. It's the perfect amount of lighthearted, and it just came into my heart and filled it with so much happiness. The story is so sweet, and there are moments of sadness, mostly in terms of like characters kind of having to hide who they truly are. But I feel like that message in particular that's threaded throughout the story, so many people relate to. And while we do have a character in here who has to hide their identity, they have to hide who they are, they have to hide who they truly love. We have such a nice turnaround. We have characters going up against the norm and fighting for change. So while this book is cute, fun, wholesome, and humorous at times, it also does have a lot of like really meaningful things that take place throughout it. I sometimes have issues with graphic novels and comics because sometimes it can be like a little bit too overly reliant on the images to portray certain emotions and things and like personality. And so when it comes to like the writing style and like the dialogue and whatnot, you sometimes lose out on sort of the personality shining through the dialogue. And I don't think that that's necessarily a bad thing. Like, I understand why graphic novels and comics would sometimes like lean on images to kind of relay those bits of like personality and expressions. It makes sense. In this one though, like I felt like the dialogue was on fire. The personality just like shone through both in the images and then also through the dialogue. Like I felt like I was able to just like get to know the characters through the dialogue, and that does not happen with every graphic novel that I read. The art style was perfection as well. There were so many drop dead gorgeous panels throughout the story, and I adored every bit of it. I would give this graphic novel a 5 out of 5 stars, baby. We got a 5 out of 5 star read. I was on board with it from beginning to end. It needs more love, it needs more hype, so this is me giving it more love and more hype. Go read it. Go read The Princess and the Grilled Cheese Sandwich, and grab yourself a grilled cheese sandwich while you're at it. I still haven't gotten one, and I'm still craving one. When it comes to the title, it is completely fitting for the story. At first, I was like kind of having a hard time being like, what, why is grilled cheese in the title? But then the second I was was questioning the title, grilled cheeses kept popping up. And it also plays a key role in the story, but no spoilers. No. Also, so many of the characters have cheese names. We've got brie, we've got ricotta, we've got feta, and so many other characters have cheese names. It's so good, so funny. This book is oozing with characters named after cheese. I tried to think of alternate titles that felt more normal, and I only came up with like 2. I have a third one that's like a work in progress. Maybe it will come to me once I get to it here. The first one is The Royal Secrets. The second one is The Royal Grill. Yeah, that one is terrible. And the third one that's a work in progress is Secrets, Sequins, and blank. I'm not sure what that last blank should be, but something with an S, preferably. Maybe Swiss. Secrets, Sequins, and Swiss, because Swiss cheese is oozing throughout this book, so I think that this is more of a fitting title though, The Princess and the Grilled Cheese. We'll stick with this title. Alright guys, we have reached the end of the video. I really enjoyed this process, this experiment. It was a lot of fun. I might not have loved all of the books that I read for this video, but I loved the process of reading these books and kind of trying to pinpoint why the author landed on the title that they did for these books. 2 of them felt pretty fitting, and then one of them felt just like a little too absurd. I think we all know which one that is. But this was a lot of fun as somebody who like overanalyzes every little thing about a book, not only like the text, but I overanalyzed the cover and the title, the description. This was a very enjoyable experience for me, and 10 out of 10 would do again. Just for a little recap, I'm going to give you my ranking from best to worst. The best is The Princess and the Grilled Cheese Sandwich. Mid-tier is Life as a Pirate Ship run by a Velociraptor. And at the bottom, we've got Milk Turkey and Neurosis, or How Mother Almost Ruined My Life. That is it for this video. I hope that you guys enjoyed it. I want to hear from you guys down below in the comments. What book have you read has the weirdest title? Let me know in the comments down below. If you like this video, be sure to go and hit that like button. If you want to see more bookish content from me, be sure to go and hit subscribe or go and hit that bell icon and you'll be notified every time I post new videos. As always, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope your day is bright, that tomorrow is brighter. Keep reading what your heart desires, and I will see you soon with a new video. Bye.